Well, they're thinly spread, it must be said. We covered 30 kilometres in the canoes, which was a good exercise for my shoulders. And we found just these two pairs. So but they really just disperse. They're territorial, so they disperse along the length of the river. And we're really trying to work out what it is that makes them tick, why are they choosing particular bits of the river. It's not very obvious. They seem to feed around the edges of the rapids. They nest, as far as we know, in tree holes, sometimes also in rock cavities along the banks. So it's one of the big questions, really, is well, what is it that makes these birds tick? Our power is just immense. It is the size of Wales. But it's threatened on all sides, and I think this is probably the pattern we're going to see. As I've said before, the merganser needs clean water, and this is an area, the Cerrado area in central Brazil, is an area of great agricultural expansion. And partly because conservationists haven't really realised just how important it is, there are very few protected areas here. Agricultural expansion, I think doesn't need to be a disaster for the merganser, but at the moment it very often is, because cattle ranching, soya, there's not enough care being taken to protect the soils. You then start to get soil erosion, which washes sediment down into the rivers. And a sedimented river is disaster number one for mergansers, because the sediment makes it very hard for them to hunt for fish. They can't see through the water. The sediment settles on the bottom of the river and kills the fish. The fish can't spawn in heavily silted up rivers. So I think this is probably the problem number one. The other thing that Marcelo and Renato have been talking to me about are enormous plans for the expansion of hydroelectric power in the region. Again, part of it is it's an emerging nation. They're trying to develop essentially they're trying to develop in a clean way by not building coal-powered fire stations. But hydroelectric has its own problems when they start damming rivers, and they're talking about 400 dams in this region alone. When they start damming rivers for hydroelectric, they create lakes, which are no good for mergansers at all. So I think probably they're the two biggest problems: soil erosion caused by agricultural expansion and hydroelectric power.